So in an effort to be as authentic as we possibly can in the recreation of our 18th century settlers cabin, we've brought a temporary blacksmith shop and set it up back here. And I don't have all the tools I'd normally have, but we have enough to get the job done. So we're going to basically be making all the iron required for a cabin. So door hinges, window hinges, door latches, shelf hangers, the crane for the open hearth fireplace. And we'll be making them one at a time right back here. So we're going to start with a nail header because we need nails to build. We're going to start by using a railroad spike. It's got lots of bulk at the end that I can draw out, and I can draw this handle out, make it a little longer so it's a bit more ergonomic. So we're going to start with that. But a bit of history on the nail. In the 18th century, particularly after the French and Indian Wars, the nail was a very expensive item. The settlers, a lot of them indentured servants who, in order to pay for their passage across the Atlantic Ocean, had to indenture themselves to the servitude of some affluent colonial landowner for a 7-year period. So the women would work as seamstresses or scullery maids. Men would work at numerous tasks. One certainly might have been blacksmithing. So an apprentice blacksmith would be the one who's fell on his shoulders, literally fell on his shoulders, to make nails. Now, a blacksmith apprentice worked 10-hour days, 6 days a week. He got Sunday off. And a good apprentice could make 100 nails an hour, so 1,000 nails a day, so 6,000 nails in a work week. But when the French and Indian War was over and the king had issued a law saying that no one could move west of the Appalachian Mountains, well, a lot of the people that fought in that 7-year war thought they were fighting for land, for free land. So with their indentured servitude over, a lot of these people, contrary to the king's law, made their way west to the Ohio River, western Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Tennessee, and they needed nails to build. So a lot of them, sounds ridiculous, but they actually would burn their house down, probably lived in shacks anyway, just to retrieve the nails. Little tidbit from history, it actually got so rampant in the state of Virginia, they passed a law prohibiting people from burning their houses down before they moved. So anyway, we're going to take this railroad spike. I'm going to get it in the into the forge. We're going to heat it up, and we're going to start by making a nail header, and then we go from there. So there we have our almost completed nail header. So we've taken that railroad spike and we've drawn that out. That gave us enough mass to make that round head. We've drawn out the handle, makes it a little more ergonomic, won't get as hot when I'm making the nails. So the last step now is I've made a tapered drift that I've got to drive down through the pilot hole I've made to make that square tapered hole that will give us the shape of the nail. So I'm going to get this back in the fire. We're going to heat it back up, and we're going to drive our square peg and round hole. So we have, except for hardening the head, we have a completed nail header. I'll be making more of these. So this is going to be for a 1.5 to 2 inch nail, and I don't know if we'll see that close enough, but we have that square tapered hole through the header part of it. So the last step now is I'm going to put it back in the fire, get it hot. We're going to do a quick water quench, which is going to harden that because it's going to take quite a beating. We'll not harden the handle, we'll just let it normalize so it has a bit of temper to it. We don't want it breaking. So yeah, back in the fire and we'll get that finished up. So that quick quench in water, that was orange hot. It's going to make that head really hard. It should sound like it almost skates on there. Yeah, that's good and hard. So we're all set to go there. So we're going to start making nails. In terms of how many nails they needed, just in our little cabin, and you've seen the dimensions of it, I estimate we'll need about 1,800 shingles or cedar shakes for the roof, which we have to make by hand. So 2 nails per shingle, so there's 3,600 nails, and probably another 2,000 roughly, give or take 100 or 2 for floor, for doors, for furniture, for the sheathing for the roof. So roughly 5,000 nails is going to be needed. In terms of how many nails they made, a good apprentice could make 100 an hour, and I'm not that good. So yeah, I'll be happy if I can make 25. So there we have a rosebud nail. So I only need 4,999, give or take 100 or so more. Now a good apprentice blacksmith would probably have made that nail in 2 heats. It took me 5, but I'm pretty pleased with that, given that's my first rosebud nail ever. Anyway, I anticipate I'll get a little better with time. So I'm back to the forge, and yeah, I'll start on nail number 2. So I've finished the last notch in our front sill log. The reason I'm doing that now is for the veranda. These will be for the floor joist for the veranda. But obviously we're not putting the veranda on now because it would interfere with us putting up the log pen. So that part's finished. Today we're going to be installing our door frame. And once the door frame's in, we're going to start putting logs up. It'll go pretty quickly. As you can see, we've got all our logs out now. They're all peeled, cut to length. So yeah, they're going to start going up pretty soon. You can see we've made some progress since the last video. The subfloor's down. I call it a subfloor. We don't know exactly how they built cabins in the 1700s, but I have studied some of the houses in our area, which was Eastern Ontario, and settled. The heyday was sort of between the 1830s and 1860s. If you look at a lot of the old farmhouses, they had first a floor of rough sawn plank, which we've done, and then they put another layer of plank that will run over top and basically span the gaps of them all. So what they've done is it's twofold. It makes the floor much more rigid, but it also stops any drafts coming up from below. So the floor is done. Doors going in. I got to go off to the bush and grab a couple of braces. Once I get this set, I want to get it sort of braced and plumbed, and yeah, we'll go from there. So we're going to start to use some of those rosebud nails that we made in the forge the other day. And once we get this sill piece in, we can get the door up and adjusted, and then we're going to drill and peg it. Yeah, so what we're going to do in the construction of this cabin is we're going to try to do it, again, traditionally as we can. So we're going to be pegging any of the joinery that's required. So what we're going to use is a basically a hardwood. So we're building the cabin out of cedar, which is soft. So similar to birch bark canoe building, when you nail the top gunnels on, square peg and a round hole, we use a very denser hardwood driven into the cedar, and it'll hold that gunnel cap. So the same thing happens here. We've got some, gone to the bush, and I've got some blue beech, some ironwood, but any hardwood would work. I think I've even got some birch there. So I'm going to make a couple of pegs. We're going to drive them in, and then, yeah, exciting part, logs are going to start to go up. Oh, just an afterthought, bit off topic, but the tools of that era, if one looks at the tool I'm using here, it could be upwards of 200, maybe 200 plus years old. It was made from a single piece of metal. So he's done round into square. He's forged welded the handle for the wooden grip. He's flattened this part, made the auger. And you can pretty much be assured that the craftsman who made this a couple hundred years ago fully expected it to be working today. That's how they built stuff then. They didn't build it like in modern times where we've become a throwaway society. So yeah, I get to have a real passion for old tools. Anyway, I'm going to go cut a few pegs, and we'll get this thing nailed down, and yeah, then we're going to start putting up some logs. So we got quite a bit done today. We've got the front ready for the veranda, which we wouldn't have access to once our logs started to go up. We got our door frame in. We got our subfloor down. Yeah, we're making progress. So we'll be starting to put the logs up next, and it should come together fairly quickly, putting the pen up. And it's getting pretty dark. I should say it's getting dark pretty early now, so I'm going to go light my fire, start cooking up supper. I'm going to tuck in early so I can get at the logs tomorrow.